What's up, YouTube? Crownless D King here. Welcome back to the Crownless Kingdom, bringing you One Piece chapter 1155, The Rocks Pirates. I was wrong. I was wrong. This chapter was gas. Need for Speed Most Wanted, Initial D, Fast and Furious. It was all gas, no brakes. Elbaf is definitely in my top 5 arcs right now. And Rocks is definitely in my top 5 characters. Goodbye Dressrosa, goodbye Doflamingo. Oda is cooking with seasoning, and I don't want him to stop. I originally, in my initial chapter reaction, gave this chapter a 9 out of 10. I think it was one of those situations where there was so much happening at once, stacked on top of each other, that I kind of just shut down. But after reading it 2, 3, 4, 5 more times after the initial reaction, it just got better and better and better. And I do not want it to stop. I really hope we continue with the learning about Rox's background and his crews, but one step at a time. So the chapter starts off with Loki and the Rocks gang. And Rocks is like, yo, get King Harold back here. Tell him you're hurt. Tell him Elbaf is on fire. I don't care what you got to do. Get him back here now. And Loki's like, who are you talking to? Do you not see how big I am, you puny human? And Rocks says, screw them kids, and attacks him. Pulls out the sword, hockeys up, wow, and attacks him, which is insane. And this solidifies what I'm saying about Loki. He is a monster. Think about it. He had just jumped from the upper realm to the realm of the dead. Rocks attacks him with Conqueror's Haki. Remember, Loki's like, what, 10 to 15 years old? And he tanks an attack from a Conqueror's Haki attack from Rocks. This just proves Loki's a tank. Not a healer, maybe a little bit of DPS, but definitely a tank. Especially since earlier in the arc, while he's tied to the Atom Tree, Gonko and Shamrock are both jumping him, and he takes all of that. Mind you, he did pass out, but he takes all of it and recovers fairly quickly with just a few bags of blood. Nah, Loki's it. And after seeing the clash between Rocks and King Harold later on in the chapter, like Luffy said, I cannot wait to see Loki fight. It's gonna be a sight to see. So moving on into the chapter, Rocks solo, because we don't see any of his crew there, sneaks into the Holy Land, somehow kidnaps 5 of the kings, beats an admiral, makes it all the way to Imu's flower chamber, and gets out of the Holy Land. Name another pirate in the current timeline of One Piece that's doing that. I'll wait. Take your time. I mean, him meeting Imu is insane. Like, we as the readers don't even know where the flower room is inside of the Holy Land, Mary Joas. Rocks made it all the way there, laid eyes on Imu to the point where if he really wanted to, he could have attacked Imu. For some reason he didn't. And I hear a lot of people on Twitter talking about, oh, how Rocks is scared of Imu. But I completely disagree. He was in there chilling, blicky in hand, relaxing, cooling. He looked like he was on the beach looking at the ocean. Plus, we know Imu is about that smoke, because when Sabo came in to save King Cobra, the first thing Imu did was attack. He did no speaking. He straight off rip attacked Sabo, and we saw the damage it did. So we know Imu is ready to fight. I mean, he immediately transformed into whatever, if you want to call it a Umibozu or whatever form it was. But he was ready for the smoke, and he didn't have none of that energy for Rocks. So you can't tell. I think, to be honest, both of them came out looking good. Imu stood on 10 toes and Rocks stood on 10 toes. And Rocks looked him straight in the eyes and said, I will be back. And if this doesn't prove, unless Rocks is still alive somehow, some way, but if this doesn't prove that Blackbeard is going to be the final villain of One Piece, especially with One Piece being a manga about inherited will, I think Blackbeard is going to be the one to take out Imu. I'll say it once, I'll say it again until you're tired of hearing it, but because we already saw in Marineford that it wasn't necessarily Blackbeard that took out Whitebeard. He came in right at the end, and that's all that matters. Like, whoever gets that final blow is the winner. It doesn't matter whether you win by an inch or a mile. A win is a win. And I can see Luffy and the crew raiding the Holy Land, weakening him a little bit. But Blackbeard, I think he's going to come in and do what he does best. Also, we finally see Imu's servant, their actual face. And it looks a lot like Gonko, but I'm not convinced that it actually is, especially since we know that cloning and whatnot is a thing in One Piece. Like, Germa 66 has an army of clones, so I wouldn't be surprised if Mary Joas has the same technology to do it, but I could be wrong, especially since Imu took over Gonko's body with the Domi Reversi when they were fighting the giants in Elbaf, so it could be Gonko. It probably is, but I don't know. My gut feeling telling me is not. Maybe it's a sister, a clone, who knows, but we'll see in the future. So Rox makes a tactical retreat, and anyone saying that's cowardly, you got a little bit of growing to do, because making a tactical retreat to come back and fight another day sometimes is the smartest move a person can make. And Rox looks dead in Imu's eyes and says, "I will be back. Just you wait." So after Rox leaves the flower room, we see some of the celestial dragons talking about, oh, that giant is bigger than normal. We should enslave it. We should have it killed and stuffed, which is insane. You know what they remind me of? You know that scene in Django whenever Dr. Schultz kills Candy and they catch Django and they're like, whip him, hang him, cut his nads off, whip him, then hang him. That's what these celestial dragons remind me of, yo, for real. Like, I do not want a redemption arc for these people. I want to see them burn. So continuing on, we see Harold running away completely on fire. And it seems like he did eventually get caught, because even in my previous chapter review, I was just like, yo, how did he not get caught? He's huge. Like, he's bigger than a regular giant. And we see him completely on fire, and he's running away, trying to get away from the guards. And him and Rox eventually cross paths. And this was crazy. The fact that him and Rox had a Conqueror's Haki infusion clash. I mean, even in the chapter, they say they blew everyone within a 5-kilometer radius away. That's 3 miles. I mean, one, this just shows how powerful Rox is, to be able to clash with a giant that's bigger than a normal giant. And two, I'm gonna give Harold his praise, because when we first get into the flashback, we don't really know exactly how strong Harold is, but to see it here, that he has Conqueror's Infusion, I mean, it's crazy. Like, they essentially, I mean, you don't see it in the chapter, but you can assume the skies were split whenever their swords met. So I'm definitely going to give Harold his props. I hope we get to see him fight somewhat more later on in the story, because I'd love to see his peak. Because you have to think about it. Rox was, before Whitebeard and Shiki, Rox was Gold Roger's top op. Previously in the Elbaf arc, Gabon states that there was a point in time where Roger had to take a year off from pirating to heal from a fight that he's been in. And then when we go to God Valley during Kuma's flashback, Roger says himself, it's been a whole year I've been waiting for Rox. So if Harold is clashing with Rox fairly evenly, I mean, I'd argue to say that Harold is Yonko level. I mean, how can you not? Because it's mostly Yonko that we know who are doing the Conqueror's Infusion attacks and splitting the skies. So, I mean, that would only mean that Harold's up there with the best of them. But like I said, hopefully we get to see more of Harold in action, because he deserves all the gas, especially after they clash. He jumps off the red line. I mean, that feat alone should tell you how durable he is, which also continues to solidify me saying that Loki is an absolute monster. I mean, I don't know if I can say Loki's Yonko level, but he's definitely close to it. He's definitely way past first commander level, but to say that he's Yonko level might be a little bit of a stretch, but we'll definitely see, and I cannot wait to see. So after we see Harold jump off the red line, which is still insane to say, we actually see Rox's wanted poster, and of course Otis being a tease and not showing us how much his bounty is actually worth, which I'm going to argue that it may be bigger than Rogers. Like, there's a reason his name was attempted to be erased from the history books. So, 6 bill? Maybe? We'll see. And the narrator goes on to say, despite all efforts of trying to save the Admiral that Rox soloed, he didn't make it. And I'm really wondering who the Admiral was, because we see that Harold is on fire. So could it have been someone who has the magma fruit? I mean, we know the world government looks for specific devil fruits because for 800 years they've been looking for the gum fruit. So it would only make sense to me if, you know, the magma fruit, the chill fruit, the light fruit, it would only make sense if they just passed them down from admiral to admiral. But I could be wrong about that. I mean, there's even a possibility that it's the Mirror Mirror no Me, and maybe somehow it just got out of their control and Ace found it. I guess we'll find out. So after this incident, it sent shockwaves throughout the One Piece world. And almost overnight, Rox's infamy boomed. So Rox being Rox, he did what he did best. So the chapter continues on, and it says sometime later, Rox attacked a ship that had some of the celestial tribute on it and robbed them of all their money. And then he took that and funded his pirate operations. And instead of just going after more of the Navy and Marines, he started going after pirates too, using the Davy back fight as a way to recruit powerful pirates onto his side. And Rox seems to be ruthless. Like, it doesn't seem like there's any line he won't cross to get what he wants. I mean, obviously, he attacked Loki, who's a 15-year-old kid, just to get Harold to come back to Elbaf. And eventually, Harold is sent word that Loki did get hurt, and he comes back. And this is where we get that beautiful spread of Rox and what's soon to be the Rox pirates talking with King Harold. And we see Shiki the Wicked, Miss Buckin, the tech bandit, Don Marlon, a gangster from the West Blue, Edward Newgate before he becomes Whitebeard, the pirate prophet Ochoku, aka Wang Ji, which it's finally nice to get a reveal of Wang Ji. And it's looking like Wang Ji and Caribou might be related. It'll be nice to see if that's flushed out in the future, because that'd be a crazy twist of fate with Caribou wanting to join Blackbeard and Wang Ji being their father, who was on Rox's crew. Also, Gonzui the smuggler. So Rox, like I predicted during my chapter reaction, is trying to get Harold to join his crew. And King Harold is like, no, I've built up so much goodwill with the people around the world with my diplomacy. I can't align with you. And Rox is just like, who cares about them? They're just world government pawns. Like, come with me, Harold. If you join my crew, we will definitely change the world. But Harold is like, nah, squash that. I don't want to hear it. I'm the king of Elbaf, and I'm going to stay that way. And Harold tries to warn the other Rox pirates, if you follow this guy, he's going to lead you to your end. And Shiki, that face lives rent-free in my head, seeing him laugh like, follow who? This guy? You're crazy. But that brings up a wider question. Like, how do the Davy back fights actually work? Like, we know Whitebeard, Shiki, and some of these other characters have really strong wills. So for them to join Rox, like do they join for 1 year, 5 years, until the captain dies? Because we see at God Valley, once they think Rox is dead, that's when they all disband and go their separate ways. So I'd like Oda to expand more on how the Davy back fights actually work. And what are the rules for having a pirate join your crew via a Davy back fight? Moving on, Rox tells Harold about Pirate Island and how there's a huge gold deposit there. And he's going to use the world government to pay him to get control back of Pirate Island. But Rox is a scoundrel. You already know he's going to double cross him and take control of the island himself after he gets paid, which, like I said, there's not many pirates who actually do pirate activity in One Piece, but Rox, he's on that type of time. So Rox declares to Hero, listen, I'm going to be king of the world. So join my crew. With you, we will be unstoppable. And Loki's in the background listening to all of this. And now we're starting to understand why Loki respected rocks as much as he did and has the ambitions that he has in wanting to destroy the world and make it anew. So 4 years have passed. And it seems like Rox eventually gives up on trying to recruit Harold, and he just takes the pirates that he currently has and he raids Hachinosu and eventually takes it under his control, finally creating the Rox Pirates, sending shockwaves throughout the world. So Rox ends the chapter setting sail, and we don't know where he's going. But I'm hoping, I am crossing my fingers, I'm hoping and I'm praying that Rox pull up on God Valley, because I would love to see God Valley from his perspective. Like, imagine that. Like, during Kuma's flashback, we do get to see a little bit of it and how Garling's there, Roger pulls up, Gart pulls up, Rock's pirate eventually gets there. But we don't really get as much information on what actually happened as I would like to have. Like, the treasure of Hachinosu, what is it? Are they the devil fruits that were the prizes, or was it something else? I'm really hoping Oda shows us what God Valley is like from Rox's perspective, because it's harder and harder to believe that Rox is actually dead. I'm starting to feel like it's going to be a Madara situation where he's still alive, just super old, and still has his ambition. And it also makes me wonder, like, could Blackbeard know that Rox is alive? Because how does Blackbeard know everything he knows about the devil fruits, about the world government and how it works? How does he know that becoming a king will further his ambitions? Like, there's so many more questions that this chapter brings up lore-wise and story-wise, and I hope we figure it out. So I have a few after chapter thoughts. We see Rox's wanted poster during the chapter, and I hate admitting it, but he looks just like Buggy in his wanted poster. Like, it's uncanny that the tongue's out, his hands in the same position. And knowing Buggy's ambition, and we know that Buggy physically is weak, but spiritually has a strong will, because right now he's with Cross Guild, and we see how Crocodile and Mihawk are treating him like a pawn. But even through all of that, Buggy still has a strong will, and he's like, yo, guys, we are going to find the One Piece. Not them, us. So with that type of will, I wouldn't be surprised if Buggy was related to Rox and Blackbeard somehow. It'll be interesting to see. I kind of don't want it to happen, even though I do like Buggy. Don't get me wrong. Buggy's a really cool character, but he's not no Rox or Blackbeard, that's for sure. Just to throw a little bit of gas Blackbeard's way, seeing that Rox has Conqueror's infusion, there's no way that Blackbeard is not going to have it. There's no shot. Blackbeard will split the skies with Luffy one day. Mark my words. Clip it, rip it, and ship it. Blackbeard will have Conqueror's Haki infusion. I don't know what kind of time Oda is on, but I hope he stays on it, because this chapter was gas. No breaks, all gas. And the expensive gas too, the premium shit. 11D out of 10. This chapter was an 11D out of 10. I'm not sure if One Piece fans are allowed to have 2 chapters of the years, but from now on, we are. I know last chapter I said 1154 was my chapter of the year, but after seeing this, I don't know. I'm gonna have to wait till at the end of Elbaf to see what's really going on and how this really turns out, but One Piece chapter 1155, The Rox Pirates, 11D out of 10. But this is Crownless D King. Thank you for joining the Crownless Kingdom. Brick by brick, baby. We're going to keep building it. Comment down below. Tell me any theories you have, any questions this chapter brings up for you. But we are on a roll. We are eating good. And it doesn't look like Oda's going to slow down anytime soon. But yeah, stay safe, stay blessed. One love.